Okay, time now for the week that was. Let's take a look at the top stories that made headlines around the globe this week. Now we start the show in the historic city of Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State in southwest Nigeria, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu headlined a long list of dignitaries who witnessed the coronation of the 81-year-old former governor of the state, Oba Rashid Ladoja, as the 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land. Of course, Arise News correspondent Olutayo Famous Cole has details on this.
It's a momentous and star-studded occasion that marks the beginning of a new era for the sons and daughters of Ibadan land. This coronation ceremony is a significant event in the history of Ibadan land, bringing together dignitaries from far and wide to witness the ascension of Oba Senator Rashid Adewolu Ladoja Arusa I as the 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land. The ceremony also creates a unique opportunity to showcase the diverse culture and rich heritage of Ibadan land and our people.
The Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the former governor of Oyo State, a businessman of note, a man who is vast and rooted in the tradition and culture of Ibadan land, and a man so loved by his people. May the Almighty set his reign apart.
So I want to thank FCMB, especially the MD, Mrs. Yemsi Edo, for the sponsorship. So thank you, FCMB, and also the Arise for also accepting to even reduce the cost for us. So I thank your Chief Executive, Chief Uduka Obagbena, the Duke himself. So I appreciate it. So today is very unique in the history of Ibadan land. You know, we have never had this so good.
The historic Makbo Hall was filled to capacity with dignitaries at the event, wishing the new king a successful reign on the throne of his forebears.
Today is a confirmation, and explanation of faith to people. When God says yes, no one can say no.
Very excited, and we just pray for good health. We pray for long life. Because long life without good health is not good enough. So we're a combination of the two, and we hope for the best. We hope his reign is going to be prosperous for Ibadan.
The much anticipated moment came when the Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde presented the new king with his instrument of office and staff of authority. Oba Ladoja's first request was for the government to assent to the creation of Ibadan State, calling for all hands to be on deck to move the state forward.
Traditional institution is now over and behind us. And what it means is the succession, the process is now sacrosanct. We know everything about that succession.
President Tinubu, who was the special guest of honor, assured Nigerians of better economic prospects in the coming days. Expectations have hit the roof as indigenes expect that the new monarch will use his connections to move the state forward. Olutayo Famous Cole, Arise News, Ibadan.
Wow. I mean,
Fantastic.
Congratulations, right?
That congratulations will be in order, absolutely. Great day in the history of Ibadan and southwest of Nigeria, the coronation of the 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land. Ibadan land, of course, is considered the political capital of the western part of Nigeria. You can say southwest now. So to have somebody who is a juggernaut in the political sphere of that state, having served as a senator of the Federal Republic and then as governor of Oyo State to now assume the role of the imperial majesty of that great land, Ibadan land. It is something historic, absolutely historic for Senator Adewolu Ladoja, who, by the way, he was born in 1944. He celebrated his 81st birthday on Thursday, and then a day after the celebration of that birthday, he was coronated as the 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land. I think there are two important, keynotes here. First is to salute the time-tested traditional ascension practice in Ibadan. The Ibadan people being Republicans is perhaps the only, I believe, city in Nigeria where you can guess who the next king will be. And everybody
agrees with it.
Because everybody can become the Olubadan in Ibadan land. That's the republicanism, of that great town. There is a process to it. There are no special families that can produce the king. Every family that is,
like
original.
You would, with the Awujale, for instance, it's a very different system that you have there in Ijebu.
In most other Yoruba cities, there are families that they rotate who will become, whether it is the Alaafin of Oyo, or Oni of Ife, or Awujale of Ijebu, or Atauja of Osogbo. But it's different in Ibadan because, as I said, it's a Republican type of a thing. If you have a family house in Ibadan, what happens is that the head of the family takes the first step to become a Mogaji. The Mogaji, there will be thousands of Mogaji because there are thousands of families in Ibadan.
Thousands of families.
But then the first step to becoming the Olubadan is after the Mogaji, which is when you now step in as Jagun. So you have thousands of people queuing for a spot to exist. And that spot can only exist when somebody has passed on, either the Olubadan or any of the other 23 people on queue to become the Olubadan. Senator Ladoja started in 1993 as the Jagun. And interestingly, guess who was part of that chieftaincy title at that time? MK Abiola was there because Senator Ladoja had served as a senator of the Federal Republic in 1991 and 1992. And then he started, it took him 32 years, to get to this point today. He had become in the process, as I said, he was first a senator and then a governor. And all he wanted, he didn't want to be president like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. All he wanted to be, before he moves, into ancestry, is to become the Olubadan. And he fought many battles. He's a man of principle, fought many battles along the line, insisting that the sacred structure of how an Olubadan is appointed or selected is maintained, even when there were, discordant tunes from a few governors in the past who felt that, let's move with time, let's change things and everything. The other thing, very quickly, is also the power of friendship and value of keeping your friends. I said that the late MK Abiola, was part of the ceremony when he was Jagun. When he was 60, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was then the governor of Lagos State, was part of that thing. And in any case, they served together at the National Assembly as senators. Asiwaju representing the Lagos West in Lagos, and then Ladoja representing, I believe, Ibadan, Central. And beyond that, they also served together in the class of 2023, 2027 as governors. While Asiwaju was doing his second term in Lagos State, Ladoja, had his only term in Oyo State. Even though by 2006, there was a lot of turbulence, and he was impeached, and then he returned. Those who supported him were led by the man who was not even part of his party, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was then in ACN, unlike those members of his party who were in PDP, who didn't even want him to return. But look at it today. The gentleman who supported him from Lagos State is now the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and Ladoja is now the king, as he has always desired to be, of one of the greatest cities in Africa, Ibadan land. I think that the congratulations again will be in order to all illustrious sons and daughters of Ibadan. And of course, to our own chairman of Arise Media Group, and these days and Newspapers Limited, who that gentleman that we saw on TV, gave credit to. Many people might not know that Prince Ndukal Baigbina is also an Ibadan son, having been born in Ibadan, even though he's from Owa in Delta State. Congratulations to Prince Ndukal Baigbina. And of course, all the other people who made yesterday very, very, very memorable. Kachi?
Well, that was
wasn't that beautiful?
That was quite the history lesson. I did enjoy listening to that, Steve.
Absolutely.
To be honest, I couldn't agree more on the beauty of what we're seeing, especially with the cultural representation of what has just happened in Ibadan land, the sense of unity, the appreciation of our customs as well. It was it was a bit rowdy, I'm not going to lie.
Well,
trying to listen to the president's speech,
Yeah.
It was a big, and I think that for me is something that really stood out, because this is an event that, I think globally should be watched, should be appreciated, should be enjoyed. And when we stage events like this, the importance of organization is very, very key. So we don't miss out on the essence of the event. An event that gathered, I would say the crowd went into hundreds of people celebrating and excited. But if you look at
hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that there were that many people, because the cameras primarily just focused on the main stage of the event, And I think events like this could do with a bit more organization. We see similar incidents like this with very big festivals. We saw that with Ijebu, with Ojide Oba, that's the name of the festival. We saw that with Ojide Oba as well. There's just a lot of events happening at the same time, a lot of noise, a lot of trumpeting, and it's almost difficult to hear speeches. And I think what the president had to say was so pivotal. But all in all, it was a great event to see, and I was really glad that I could experience that cultural display vicariously through the screen.
Absolutely, it was a momentous occasion, and I believe that many people, particularly every Nigerian, will remember that glorious day for many, many more years to come. But we move on. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has restated his call for a permanent seat for Nigeria on the United Nations Security Council, saying that the global organization will recover its relevance only when it reflects the world as it is, not as it was. President Tinubu, in a speech during the ongoing general debate of the 88th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, read on his behalf by Vice President Kashim Shettima, also called for sovereign debt relief, as well as access to trade and financing. Nigeria's demand for a permanent seat at the UN Security Council has been a consistent feature of its foreign policy for decades, with successive administrations arguing that the current structure of the Council does not reflect present global realities, still largely shaped by the outcome of World War II.
1. Nigeria must have a permanent seat at the UN Security Council. This should take place. This should take place as part of a wider process of institutional reform. 2. We need urgent action to promote sovereign debt relief and access to trade and financing. 3. Countries that host minerals must benefit from those minerals. And 4th, the digital divide must close. As our friend, the Secretary General has said, AI must stand for Africa included. On my first point, the United Nations will recover its relevance only when it reflects the world as it is, not as it was. Nigeria's journey tells this story with clarity. When the UN was founded, we were a colony of 20 million people, absent from the tables where decisions about our fate were taken. Today, we are a sovereign nation of 236 million people, projected to be the third most populous country in the world. Sovereignty is a covenant of shared responsibility, a recognition that our survival is bound to the survival of others. To live up to this charge, we must work hand in hand with our neighbors and partners. We must follow the trails of weapons, of money, and of people. And for this, Nigeria's soldiers and civilians carry a proud legacy. They have participated in 51 out of 60 United Nations peacekeeping operations since our independence in 1960. We have stood with our partners in Africa to resolve conflicts, and we continue that commitment today through the Multinational Joint Task Force. We are despised by terrorists because we choose tolerance over tyranny. Their ambition is to divide us and to poison our humanity with a toxic rhetoric of hate. Please, I join you today to reassert Nigeria's commitment to peace, to development, to unity, to multilateralism, and to the defense of human rights is beyond compromise.
You know, what you can't take away from Vice President Kashim Shettima is the fact that he has presence. You know, charisma. He speaks well. He did it last year at the same place at Onga, and then, you know, again representing the president of Nigeria at Onga, this time for the 80th, you know, anniversary. He has done the same thing. But what I'm not sure of is what is new in what our president is saying, given that the speech was actually a President Tinubu's speech.
Yes.
Kashim Shettima only, of course, you know, trumpeted it for him. What did he speak about? He spoke about, you know, the need to have urgently a permanent seat for Nigeria, or at least Nigeria representing Africa, you know, on the United Nations Security Council seat. He spoke about, you know, debt relief, again, you know, given the fact that when Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was the Minister of Finance under Obasanjo, you know, we did campaign for debt relief, and we got it from the Paris Club at that time, and it, you know, did go a long way. But here we are back, you know, to the global stage, asking for another round of debt relief. It was mentioned last year. It was mentioned the year before when the president attended personally, a third year running, in the life of you know, the same administration. We're asking for the same thing. We're asking, you know, they're also asking for access to trade and financing, and of course to bridge the digital divide. And I like the way that the president couched it, saying that AI must mean that Africa is also included. Africa included, that's AI. But then who will give all these things to us on a platter of gold? What is Africa doing for itself? I listened carefully to what President Ruto of Kenya said, you know, in that beautiful speech in a well-tailored suit. I wonder if Kenya didn't have any traditional clothes that he could at least he could have worn on that stage. Because he wore a suit? He wore a suit, you know, but again, we should commend our own vice president for at least representing Nigeria. So I'm saying that if we're asking the international community to do for us, do this for us, do for Africa, what precisely are we taking to the table other than to make requests, make endless requests? What are we contributing? I get the point that, yes, the equation is not balanced. We do not, you know, we've been at a disadvantage on trade, on security, on many things over time. But then when we go there every year, year in, year out, and ask for the same thing to the same people, would that be the best strategy? How about staying away for a year or two, for example, and say that if you do not recognize us, or that you do not listen to everything that we're saying, let us at least take a chill pill and see what happens. But I don't think that Africa has got the wherewithal, even though when we go there, we spend our own money. Huge money, you know, going to New York, hotels, everything. Huge money with huge people, you know, behind us. What will it take to say, next year, except we see that changes will occur, we will stay away? You know, that's the sort of, you know, a change in strategy that many people are saying that maybe we should consider. But hey, Africans love to travel, particularly our leaders.
Are you saying something there?
No, I'm saying that they love to travel, don't they?
It was a great, I mean, definitely they love to travel. One thing I love about the UN General Assembly is the inclusivity. There's so many different side events that happen, you know, that require many people to travel. And that aside, okay, let's just.
It's an annual ritual.
It is. Let's just, if you want to travel, have a great time, travel. But I really wanted to touch on the trade and financing, you know, with regards to bridging the digital divide, and AI must be included. Or rather, Africa must be included in AI. Now, we need to understand this, right? I think oftentimes we are misrepresented, and it's heartbreaking. We're very misrepresented. We live in a country in Nigeria where we have Nigerians in Nigeria developing softwares with AI included. We live in a country where we have people in tech developing systems that allow for AI to easily be used across industries, from medicine to agriculture to the creative economy to finance. So when we go on a global stage and say, we need to bridge the digital divide. The digital divide that we see is the fact that we need better access to global counterparts. We need to be able to say, oh, this is happening in Asia. As a Nigerian, I can easily get up, get a visa, and go to where this thing is happening and blend ideas. That's what will bridge some of that digital divide. If you're talking about the intellect, we have that. How much support are these people seeing from the government with regards to what they are trying to create? How many people in tech can confidently say that they have been supported by this administration with regard to the policies? We're looking at the tax reforms for 2026. The number of businesses that will be affected by those tax reforms, it looks great on paper, but it is going to be incredibly hard for a lot of businesses looking at how much tax they have to remit. Now, I don't support anyone not paying their taxes, but if you were not paying your taxes before, it will be even harder to avoid paying your taxes now because your TIN is connected to all your bank accounts. So these are some of the things that I think can bridge that digital divide, not going on the UN stage to ask for Africa to be included. I would like to limit this to Nigeria. Nigeria is included. I'm not a tech person, but I promise you that I am even more included at this point in time in the AI revolution. Just recently at IATF, one of the things I loved to see was the pitch sessions that happened. It was put together by the SME Development Forum for Afrexim Bank. And we saw different Africans coming to pitch different businesses, right, for a chance to be supported and funded. 80% of the businesses that were pitched from Africans, I have to be very, very specific, were innovation tech and AI inclusive.
Did they pitch anything that will be Africa's or Nigeria's answer to all the social media platforms?
Oh,
because
yes.
when we're talking digital divide,
that's
did. What I want to see.
As a matter of fact,
what's our answer to Twitter, to Facebook,
now,
to Instagram, to stuff like that?
The beauty is this pitch session was just a private thing that was put together to support African businesses. There are probably people who have that solution who are not able to pitch, but the point I'm trying to make is when we talk about bridging the digital divide, these are Africans coming together to say we need support for our businesses. This is a private institution supporting these businesses. How about the government decides to say, okay, you know what, we want to support you too. So I really think that request was very ill-informed. We need to get down to the realities of what Nigerians are doing in the private sector, especially as it pertains to AI. We keep having this conversation about AI, and every time we have an interview about it, there's almost a lack of understanding. AI is not just ChatGPT. You can generate your own AI, as a matter of fact, to respond to certain issues and prompts within your sector. So there's a lot of misunderstanding about what AI is. But let's talk about the permanent seat on the UN Security Council right now. I think while I love my country, and I absolutely agree that we deserve a permanent seat, but I think one of the issues we might face would be our credibility issues. It reminds me of a video that went viral of the governor of Edo State pitching for his state and how he said...
In Scotland?
In Scotland, right? I saw that video and I just love that video. In that video, he said, listen, Edo State is a beautiful state. As a matter of fact, come invest in Nigeria. It is the most secure country in Africa. Now, I couldn't help but laugh because this is a clear example of you soil your diapers at home and then you go outside and try to tell people why they should wear diapers. It doesn't work that way. One of the issues we may experience will be our credibility test. How do we handle our own security? Yes, we've done great work across Africa. We've supported several peacekeeping missions, but how are we supporting peacekeeping missions at home? So I think sometimes these statements are so glamorized. When we're on that platform, we get to say a lot of things, but it really boils down to what is going on here. What happens in Nigeria, how we treat our people in this country, from economic situations to security situations, is a great reflection of how we intend to utilize our position, if at all we do get it. And that's what I would say on this.
Absolutely. So part of the, how did they say that? The moral of the story? The
moral of the story.
Monday of Pebulu should have limited himself to marketing Edo State and not speaking on behalf of Nigeria.
I couldn't believe that video.
No, I'm just kidding.
It was a funny one. If you haven't seen it, you definitely should. But let's talk about what else is happening in Nigeria. Senator representing Kogi Central District, Natasha Akpoti, last Tuesday stormed the National Assembly a few hours after her office was unsealed for her to resume her legislative duties. The senator arrived at the National Assembly accompanied by hundreds of her supporters in the midst of heavy resistance from the police and sergeants at arms who tried to stop many of them. Arise correspondent Omobazwe filed the report. Take a look.
Kukuma go sleep with them for National Assembly because Natasha must resume.
From a trial court in Abuja, Senator Natasha Akpoti and hundreds of her supporters marched on to the National Assembly complex. They went past through the main gate with relative ease. However, the order was at the second entrance, popularly known as Mopo Gate. Here, a detachment of police officers and sergeant-at-arms tried to stop the crowd from gaining entrance to the National Assembly. Eventually, Senator Akpoti was allowed in, and a few of her supporters managed to squeeze their way through in the process. At the final front entrance, Akpoti went in uninjured, with sergeant-at-arms trying to stop the rest of our entourage. But still, some of them managed to push through. Others who could not occupied the citizens' arena.
We march outside. No, that is what our law enforcement agents are about. It is about hampering of and victimizing lawful citizens who are harmless.
The Kogi Central Senator went on straight to her office, already prepared for arrival, after the door was unsealed earlier in the day. Addressing journalists, Akpoti narrates what she passed through in the last 6 months, with particular reference to alleged blackmail from Professor Mbeke on Facebook.
From the unjust suspension to the recall, we survived the recall, the blackmail from the so-called woman from the crazy lady on Facebook.
Unfazed and defiant, Akpoti said she has no apology whatsoever to tender to the leadership of the National Assembly over alleged misconduct and violation of Senate rules. Akpoti had a message for the Senate President Godswill Akpabio.
We can't cow down in the face of injustice. No one is more Nigerian than us. Senator Akpabio is not more of a senator than I am. He's not a governor of this place. And he treated me as if I was his servant or I was a domestic staff in his house.
Akpoti was suspended on the 6th of March after a row over a sitting arrangement. Omo Bazwaye, Arise News.
Well, congratulations to Natasha. I think that, especially for Nigerian women, we're so used to being, for lack of a better word, a lot of Nigerian women are so used to just not getting what they need. Not want, emphasis on not what they want. A lot of Nigerian women are very used to not getting what they need. A lot of Nigerian women are used to being told to be malleable, acceptable, quiet, and calm. Just ignore is the very, very popular phrase that we get. So when we see this person like Natasha, it almost is like, why is she making so much noise about this? You know, you get a lot of that reaction because it's not common. You know, you're not usually, a lot of people would say she should have just apologized. But the thing is, we need to begin to celebrate the individuality, because that's the only way we can teach people growing up that the fact that it is done this way does not mean that that is how it should be done. And there's several people across history that have proven that. I think this has been a very tumultuous journey. If anything, being suspended for 6 months, being away from her office, being told she had to apologize, the premise of the issue versus what was put out as the actual premise of the issue. The sexual harassment allegation versus the claim for misconduct. Those two issues being played side by side. One not even seeing the light of day, for being honest. The other being highlighted to the highest form as the reason why she was taken home. These are the issues. But she stood her ground. She said she was not going to, I'm not even going to lie, I was one of the people that just said she should just apologize, because it would have been great for her to go back, but she said no. She's not apologizing. She's going to do the 6 months, and I think she made her point very, very clear that she will not be intimidated. And that's what she wanted the Senate president to know, that she will not be intimidated in any way, shape, or form. And also, I was going to say, why do we always wait for things to get to this point? We need to understand that we are building a system that is going to harm us at the end of the day. In a normal scenario, we have the governed security apparatus that should protect, that should provide security. But now that has failed. And what we are now seeing is a lot of people who have now taken up this responsibility on social media. Who are the people who was with Natasha, Senator Natasha, throughout this entire period? The likes of Mama P, a very, very active social media activist. The likes of Randy Peters, you know, another very, very, very active social media activist. There's another lady, her name just skipped my mind. She's from the north and she always wears her hijab. You know, her name will come, Aisha Yusufu, exactly, Aisha Yusufu was also with her, a very prominent activist. And these are people that literally said, like, we mats, like they sat and they said like they were ready to give their lives up for this situation. Come rain, come sunshine, come tear gas, whatever was thrown at them. And you ask yourself, why does it need to get to this point? At the end of the day, she still made her way through the office. The resistance would only bring up further resistance. We need to start to address issues for what they really are. Nigeria and Nigerians need to understand that Nigerians will not be bullied much longer. And there's only a limit to how much people can take. Now she's back in her office. Let's see what comes next. Congratulations to her. And, you know, I'm really glad that this saga, which I think is far from over, but for the meantime, is over.
Well, I mean, it may be far from over, but at least we should celebrate the fact that it looks like there's a bit of common sense returning on both parts.
Yes.
You know, both parts who clearly had faults, you know, at the very beginning of the thing. Let's hope that now that the office has been opened, even though it's a little bit strange and curious that there was no formal notification or formal announcement
of her return
from the Senate. I don't think what they're trying, you know, whether it's a return or allowance to go into our office, nothing whatsoever. And it's a director in the Senate that just basically showed himself on camera and says that by powers conferred on me, I'm now opening the office of Senator Natasha Akpoti. And what will be the basis? Will the basis be that because the 6 months of suspension has expired, she was now allowed to return, even though the time that our office was open, Senate had already extended their formal resumption to the 7th of October. So what are we likely to witness on the 7th of October? Which is why I said that things might not be far from over, given that there are still a few cases in court, the substantive issues of allegations of sexual harassment, and then the allegations that there was an attempt to exterminate her are still in court that will need to be proven, except of course they dispense with it legally.
But I mean, do you think those things should affect her resumption, though?
Well, it depends on how the rules of the Senate are interpreted. It might turn out that on October 7, they say that if the rule says that if you have taken the Senate to court, you may not be allowed to resume formal interaction. But I think that it looks to me that they're looking for ways to find a political solution to this, which is why first and foremost, they will allow her into office. And of course, that's preparatory to allowing her to resume a plenary. If she resumes plenary, therefore, what are we likely to witness? Normally, she will have to be acknowledged for returning. Will the Senate president do that? And then will she also abide by the rules of the House so that what we witness in March of this year will not repeat itself? So a lot of common sense will have to prevail on both sides of the divide. Let's hope, of course, that that things will not get worse than we have witnessed because people of Kogi Central, have missed 6 months of representation, and that's not something that we should encourage. As for why she will take a whole band of
I mean, because she needed, you see, that's the thing, for things like this, she needed that support. Because again, I asked,
no, but she has been allowed to return.
No, they wanted to stop her.
No,
it was almost a
they wanted to stop those who were trying to come in with that. But of course, again, let's celebrate the fact that it looks like we have taken one step towards resolution. Let's hope that the next steps will be of commonsensical ones, not all these basketballs that you have been
Really,
witnessing.
it will be great to see. I think at this point in time, the issue
great.
can just... I would expect to see an official announcement of her return. I would expect to see that. And if we don't, I will question that, because we saw that in the case of the governor who was suspended and returned to his position. So I would expect to see that.
October 7 is almost here. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, then that's all on the week that was.